All right, welcome back to Mondays Down South with the guys, all three of us. Sai back from international vacation. We were actually just catching up before the pod. He was in Spain with the family, and Evan and I were just watching football this weekend. Sai was actually watching football as well, despite the fact that it was probably 8 to 9 p.m. over there. I'll let him speak on that. But it's good to see everybody back. Week 1 was crazy in the NFL. And Sai, go ahead and kick it off. How was the international travels, and what was the latest time you were watching football internationally?
I'm actually pretty. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. I got pretty close to almost making it to the Sunday night football game. Sadly, I didn't quite get there because that started at 2 a.m. But earlier in the week, Evan and I did our fantasy draft for our auction league, and I was up till 4 in the morning doing that. So nobody ever questioned my commitment to football. It's probably why I'm still single because I'm putting all my time in the wrong things, I guess. But in terms of Sunday, I couldn't miss the Indiana Jones era of football for us, so I had to watch the first batch of games for that, and then I rolled right into the second batch. So I was just laying on my cozy hotel bed and just grinding it. So I had a great time, y'all. Good to be back, though.
I love it. You did miss the best game, unfortunately, but
I did. I was able to go back and catch up on some of the highlights and what went down, though. So we'll definitely talk about that. Zach teed me up well. It was an amazing vacation. Got to spend quality time with my parents. Got to see Spain again. Got to eat all the amazing food, and now I'm back. And I am so ready to talk football. I actually think this is the most excited I've been for a week 1 review episode because I just have so many takes coming off the bat. But before we jump into it, it's been a little while since we've done these little brain teaser games that we've been playing, and we came up with a fun little concept. You guys are going to have to bear with us. We're going to do a couple-minute one. And the idea for today is we're going to name a player, and you have to name – we're going to start with a player. You have to name a player that they played with. And the idea is we're trying to create a puzzle where the next person has to name another player that they played with but on a different team. So then that way we can keep the team game going. So to clarify, Zach and Evan, that means if I was to name a player, let's say Peyton Manning, and you said Wes Welker, and then Evan said Tom Brady, you can name another Patriot. But after you name that Patriot, if it was Randy Moss, you'd have to name someone else that Randy Moss played with on a different team. That's how we're going to do this. This is going to be fun. I'm doing 3 minutes on the timer. Y'all ready to go?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. I will start with Peyton Manning. So go ahead. Peyton. Go ahead, Zach. We'll go to Zach, then Evan.
Anthony Gonzalez.
Who? I don't even know what teams he played for.
I think he actually just played for the Colts. All right, let me redo. Let's see here.
I love it.
Edgerrin James.
Oh, you guys are going historical.
Played for the Cards.
Cards? I don't know who he would have played with on the Cards. I guess I got to go Colts.
Larry Fitz.
You can go Colts if you can't do the next one. We'll keep it going, yeah.
I assume he overlapped with Reggie Wayne at one point.
He did indeed. He overlapped with Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. So I'm going to go Reggie Wayne, who played his whole career with the Colts as well, by the way. So I will say we're staying with my Colts heavy.
We're a little stuck.
No, it'll be fun. I'll give you guys something fun. Let's go with Pierre Garçon.
Ooh.
I like this. John Allen.
There we go.
Did they overlap? That's a close one.
They might have.
Yeah,
Jordan Mason.
Ooh, I would not have thought of that one. All right, Jordan Mason. Do I want to go Vikings or do I want to go SF? I will go with Vikings. I'm going to go. Oh, I got to give you something creative. Let's go with. I don't want to go Justin Jefferson because he only played with the Vikings. Oh shit! This is. Excuse my language. Oh man. You know what? I'm going to go San Francisco to make it easier for you. Christian McCaffrey, Zach.
Okay. Let's go Cam Newton.
Okay. You got Adam. There you go.
I kind of want to go like Patriots Cam Newton, but
yep.
I don't know who he would have played with on that team. He was there so briefly. I have no idea who he would have played with on the Pats. I'm gonna have to go back Panthers.
Okay.
Jonathan Stewart.
JS. Did he spend his whole career with Carolina? Did he go somewhere else? We'll stay with Carolina because I don't know about it. Steve Smith.
Joe Flacco.
There you go.
Ooh.
Zach was quick with that one.
Yeah.
Let's go go with current team. Jerry Jeudy.
I knew you were going to say Jerry Jeudy. I'm blanking on. It was Broncos before, so I got to think of overlap. Let's go with who's this quarterback? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. What era was it? It was pre-Bo Nix. Did he have overlap? Bo Nix? No, he didn't because he didn't play with Bo Nix. Did he? Well, who was before Bo Nix? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I'm
choking. You think running back too?
Actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say Von Miller.
Oh, okay. Von Miller, Josh Allen.
There you go. And we got 3 seconds.
The big Josh Allen.
Let's go another minute.
Khalil Shakir.
Keep going.
I only got one team with that one, so.
That's true, Josh.
I guess I only gave you one team, though. We're stuck on the Bills again.
That's okay, Khalil. I'm going to try to think of someone that Zach can play off of. Let's go. Khalil. I'll give you one. I'm going to tie it back to my team. Naheem Hines.
I like that.
He's still around.
Hines.
Oh, he was then. That's
crossed over. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that's tough. Naheem Hines is a good one.
You might have to go back to my team.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go back to the Colts.
I don't know where else you would
go. Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Back on the Colts.
Let's go.
See if we can get creative.
DeForest Buckner.
Oh, there we go. Back to San Francisco.
Nice.
I'm going to go with I got to give you someone that's been on different teams. Here you go. Richard Sherman. Let's open up the
I like this. Okay, Earl Thomas.
Oh, Legion of Boom, baby.
Where else he played? He went to Baltimore after, right?
Yep.
We'll go Lamar.
Nice. Lamar. That's a full-time Baltimore guy, so I'm going to try to give Zach someone he can piggyback off of. You're good. I got you. I'm going to go with Roquan Smith, Zach.
Okay. Roquan Smith. Let's go with Eddie Jackson.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, you got me stumped there. Bears, where else would he have been?
Let's go with Mitch Trubisky.
There we go. I like that.
Oh, my dog.
You go Pittsburgh. You go Bills.
We got 30 seconds.
Thinking Bills. We did a good Bills. We already did Von Miller.
Pittsburgh.
I think
Pittsburgh probably.
Josh Palmer.
Oh, okay. Let's go Chargers. I like it. Keenan Allen.
Let's go DeAndre Swift, Lions.
Oh, that was good, bro. And Eagles. You gave him a lot.
And Eagles.
Close it out with this one.
I guess if I don't kind of hand it off, but AJ Brown, I guess.
There you go. Closing it out with the one reception this past weekend type of guy. And I guess that tees us up perfectly because we can roll right into it because that was the opening game of the weekend. We got Eagles. We got Cowboys. Here's my question. Do we want to get into the takes or do we want to do our prompt for the week? What are you guys feeling about it?
Let's do the quick prompt first because I think it'll go by pretty quickly and we can jump into reactions. So the quick prompt I was thinking about, I think I've set a game or a matchup. I've used this before to describe it, but what are the matchups of NFL teams, or if you even wanted to do players, because there's a players one I think is really fun, that you could like watch on a weekly basis and you feel like you would never get bored. Just the matchups that of two teams that it's every single time they play, it's just an absolute banger. So obviously there was one from this weekend. I won't spoil it, but Zach, you got.
Yeah, I'm going to take you guys on a carousel because you know me. I always think differently about these prompts. I'm going to go with the Browns and the Bengals, which ironically was week 1. Not because it's like electrifying in the sense of what you would see from the Chargers in a Chiefs game or from a Bills and a Ravens game. But I think the offensive wide receiver and playmaking abilities that the Cincinnati Bengals have versus the best corner duo in football, with it being Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward. that was a really interesting matchup, not just because of the rivalry in Ohio. It's like, who's going to be the best team in Ohio? And it's like the Northerners versus the Southerners. Joe Burrow's an Ohio native. Like, there's a lot of bad blood that's brewing, especially when you guys are playing up in the dog pound in Cleveland. Also a divisional matchup. But I would say the real reason is because it's so fun watching Jamar Chase go up against Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome go up against T. Higgins and vice versa. So just for the record, the Cincinnati Bengals, which did squeak out a 17-16 win, got outplayed on every side of the ball. If you look at the amount of total yards that the Cincinnati Bengals had the entire game, it was 141 total yards. With that juggernaut of an offense and knowing that Chase Brown had like 50 or 60 of those yards and the touchdown for the most part, like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were really like locked down the entire game. And it makes it better knowing that Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome especially, is a trash talker. And they like look forward to these matchups. Jamar has said every season that Denzel Ward is like one of the best corners in the league, and that's the matchup he looks forward to most. I'll kind of hit you with a surprise factor one, and the wide receiver and the cornerback matchups are some of my favorites. Maybe the teams aren't the best. I mean, neither team really made the playoffs last year, but Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward are fun to watch, and they're probably the only duo that can shut those guys down.
I love it. I like the route you took, Zach, because it's very easy to pick the hot ones, which I think, I'm sure Evan and I will do. But I like that you have the shout out to the receiver cornerback battle, because I do think that's the most fun matchup to look out for week to week. It's legitimately two guys going at it. I mean, we actually saw that with Jalen Ramsey and Garrett Wilson this weekend too, and it was so fun to see them going back and forth with the young guy and the vet. So that's a really good call. Evan, you go ahead next, bro.
Yeah, mine. So the original kind of matchup that I would describe this as is Lions-Rams, specifically now with Matthew Stafford on the Rams, going back to face his old team, the Lions getting good. I just feel like all three or so times that those teams have played, including at least once in the playoffs, have just been unbelievable games. So that was the original time I kind of came up with this prompt after watching the most recent time they played. And, I know we won't have many more of those matchups with Stafford not having many years left, but every single time he goes back and plays his old team, it's an absolute banger.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he's playing like he doesn't have many more years left, given how incredible he has been. I mean, came out after all the back injuries. I understand it didn't score a lot of points, but he obviously made a statement. So I look forward to another one of those. That's a really good one, Ev, with the old school, new school. I'm going to pick the most obvious one that you could possibly pick, but I'm going to pick it for the reasons of nostalgia that it gives me, which is Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, Chiefs Bills, and especially because it's almost like a storybook type thing where in the regular season, like at first Mahomes was winning all of them, and then it seems like Josh has had his number in the regular season, and the Bills have had a better record, but then in the playoffs, Josh has not been able to beat Mahomes. And the reason I love this matchup so much is we're talking about two of the top three quarterbacks in the NFL. Mahomes with the stature of competing for that GOAT title with his current trajectory and everything of that nature. And the reason I love it so much isn't just because it's so fun and they always have these shootouts and obviously everyone loves it. It's a very straightforward pick. It's because it reminds me of Brady Manning, and that's what I grew up with. Like Peyton, Brady, I lived for those matchups. That was like a lock myself in my room and don't talk to anyone and hope Peyton wins so I can go to school the next day and talk smack to you guys type of matchup. And when these two play, it brings that out of me because very similar. It's Mahomes, which is the Brady stereotype of Allen can't beat him in the playoffs, but you can tell that Allen is in a similar tier of quarterback and will he get over the hump kind of situation. And then when Manning finally did it, it was epic. And then they finally got to the point where they're both winning Super Bowls. And it gives me that same type of nostalgia feeling. So every time I see those two match up, it's not just about how fun it is in the moment. It's that feeling of wow, we're seeing legends go at it. People we're going to be telling our kids and grandkids about it in the future as to oh, you don't understand how good those guys were at that kind of matchup. So it's obvious, but I had to go with it.
Ooh, I like that a lot. If we want to go around the horn here, I know we didn't want to spend too much time on this, but I'll give you guys another one that's an underrated one. It's the Falcons versus the Bucks. So these are the top two teams in the NFC South. not because they're supremely talented like the Bills or the Chiefs, but just because they play in a pretty bad division. But they are very similarly styled where they've put a lot of their resources on their offensive side, and they've tried to subsidize their defense with a really good head coach that is defensive minded oriented. And what's Tampa Bay's coach's name again?
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles, that's right. So Bowles and Raheem Morris. So they're defensive guys, but they're head coaches. So they are able to kind of focus on like subsidizing the defense, knowing that a lot of the money is on their offensive side of look at the Falcons. They've drafted like 5 offensive players in a row outside of the 2025 NFL draft. I think it's really fun because the last like 4 or 5 times that these guys have played, it's come down to a field goal or less. Like the games last year, the Falcons actually snuck both of them out, but they were by 3 points, and then the other game went into overtime, and the Bucs were winning that game for the most part. And then to see the script flip where Tampa Bay got the best of Atlanta in Atlanta, whereas both teams look really good offensively. They're fun to watch. They're exciting. They're young. And it's like, okay, which team is going to come out on top and really dictate the NFC South for years to come? So I would say the Falcons and the Bucs is always a good one.
I like that.
Especially lately. I feel like each of the last 3 or 4 have been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got any others?
I think
you just won.
No, you go ahead.
I have, the obvious one that kind of prompted this for me is actually Ravens Bills instead of Chiefs Bills, just because the last few of the playoffs and this game have been ridiculous. And I feel like the Chiefs Bills games nowadays, they know each other so well. They've almost been more low scoring affairs and real chess matches, whereas the Ravens and Bills, I feel like when they play, there's just absolute chaos and points and just craziness. And then the player on player, I think is obvious with Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans, just because every single time they get together, they're fighting. So I'll be with those 2.
That's one of my favorite rivalries ever, Mike. The sad part is I think Mike is a little, like, at this stage of his career is still managed to maintain, at least up until this point, like his level of play. I do feel like Lattimore's fallen off a little bit. Maybe he'll prove me wrong this year. But those 2 in their prime, the way they went at each other and the fact that they're still in the league playing for good teams is really fun to see. I'm not going to make another honorary mention just because I feel like I knocked out the one. But Zach already teed me up, so we can jump right into the game picks. This is going to be an interesting place to start because I know there's a lot of big-time, primetime games that we can talk about. But you actually teed up the Falcons for me, and I wanted to bring that up really quickly. Bake Show, Igbuka, amazing, like incredible performance from those 2. But the whole media is talking about, Baker as a potential MVP and everything, and as they should. But I want to take a second because I want to defend the take I made. I am a believer in Michael Penix, and y'all know that. And this week, the way he gutted that game out, the diving play where he extended to get the touchdown, the ability to get the ball back and go down and score and put the pressure on Baker and them to go try to win that game. That is a guy that I trust with my franchise to like figure it out and get there. And I know Evan's going to talk about another one of those guys in a little while that he called, but I just want to give Michael Penix a shout out because I've been listening to so much media the last couple of days because I'm just itching for more football. And I've heard so much talk about all these other players, but I feel like no one has brought up Michael Penix, and I thought that was an awesome game from him. Like, yeah, he didn't have like an elite top 5 performance, but he showed signs of like that dog that we saw at Wash U, and I feel like he's gonna really turn into something good. And the way he was getting all the guys involved, like I feel like they're just gonna get better and better and better with the right kind of coaching, and just even better than that. So shout out to Michael Penix. I just wanted to say that really quickly, and we can keep going.
Dude, I love that. I love the shout out. He looked really good. And he's a fun guy because he's got the speed to get out of the pocket. It's not like Caleb Williams or Justin Herbert's speed, but he can actually move for being this like quote unquote pocket passer. But I love the formations that they're throwing him in, like a lot of pistol. Like you're not really seeing a lot of offensive schemes where the guy's in the pistol, but he just has like a zip on the ball that the pistol works, especially with Brian Robinson and as the single back. So the Falcons are a really fun team to watch, and I'm excited to see kind of like what they do, especially against Minnesota. That's going to be a really, really interesting game at USA Bank Skull. It's going to be a really good test, so they, hopefully avoid going 0-2. But yeah, Penix is great, and I completely agree with you, Cy. You were giving him flowers right before the season started, and he's really shaping up to be a pretty darn good player.
Love it.
I do think that's a really disappointing loss for the Falcons in a game that you kind of think they outplayed Tampa. I didn't think Baker played particularly well from what I saw. And you still find a way to lose. Obviously, you can blame it a lot on the kicker, but I don't know. That makes their outlook in the division feel kind of bleak to me if they couldn't squeak that one out, given the circumstances. But hey, they got 17 more weeks to figure it out. So
And I think it's less about them necessarily winning the division this year, and more about them being able to hopefully compete for years to come with Penix and that young core that they have. That's more because that's the whole thing with Penix right now. I don't think they went into the season expecting to be a Super Bowl competitor. I think they went to the season being like, did we get our franchise quarterback for the next decade? And hopefully they did. I like him, so we'll see what happens. One game to start.
When do we start talking about the Falcons with expectations, though? Because I feel like we've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, and now, obviously, unfortunately, like the Kirk thing didn't work out. But in theory, they had a caliber roster that just needed a quarterback, or at least that's kind of what we've been hearing with Kirk. And then Kirk doesn't work out, and now all of a sudden that's not true. I'm like, I feel like the Falcons deserve some expectations to be winning football games.
But I disagreed with the fact that they had the caliber of roster last year when they added Kirk. I didn't think they were just going to add Kirk and go be a Super Bowl competitor because I never trusted their defense. I felt like they were going to have an elite offense if Kirk Cousins could play to the potential that he played with the Vikings. But it's not the same situation that J.J. McCarthy walked into with the Vikings, which you will touch on later, where you have Brian Flores coaching one of the best defenses in the NFL with a great personnel, and you still have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, a good offensive line. Like, it's not like Michael Penix walked into that situation. Nothing about it was, he's got a good offense that he can work with and a lot of young players, but he doesn't have the defense. And that's kind of where I think my expectations are, hey, it didn't work with Kirk, but Penix was never supposed to come in, day one and immediately be a Super Bowl competitor. I think now it's like you almost pseudo reset. You're not revamping your roster, but you're trying to see what you got this year and then add to the defense and maybe try to compete the year after is the way I look at it. But maybe this tees you up well for the Vikings, Evan. I don't need to go in order of how the games went. If you think you want to jump on and talk about your boy, this is the time to do it because, man, I'm sure you got some things to say.
Yeah, that was a little nervy there. I can't tell you the last time I've been so excited to watch a football game that wasn't my own or wasn't a playoff game. I was so excited. I've been waiting on JJ McCarthy to play a real NFL game for 2 years, and boy, was it ugly. That was a rough first half to watch, just in general, because both teams were playing so bad. But I just got to give him so much credit for his resolve, and this is the whole package of JJ McCarthy. He has all the tools, but there's not a single tool that you're going to be that's elite, and you're going to be like, wow, he can do this. But his competitiveness, his leadership, and just his grit is just, and his intangibles are just off the chart. I mean, to be in a situation, your first NFL start, you're at Chicago, crowd is going crazy, Monday Night Football, you got 200 of your friends and family in the crowd because you're from that area, and then you are already having a bad first half, which really wasn't his fault. The entire operation was just a mess. I went back and watched the film, and the play calling was really conservative, maybe because they wanted to ease him in, but the blocking was terrible without Christian Darrisaw. Jetta was not playing well at all. He had a couple of huge drops, and he was just not running good routes. Defense was obviously keeping in the game, but it was just an all-around ugly operation. Now, he wasn't playing well either, and then you throw just this bad pick six, and you think from there, it's all right, it's just not our night. A lot of people have a rough debut. You're thinking Sam Darnold level bad debut, these kinds of moments. And then to come back and play, he won NFC Offensive Player of the Week because of what he did in that fourth quarter, which is crazy. 3 touchdowns, absolute dots all over the field, 1 rushing, comeback victory. I could not be more confident in JJ McCarthy now and that Vikings team as a whole this year, because when you have that kind of comeback win right off the bat and that locker room starts believing in a rookie quarterback, and that roster, like Cy said, is on par with the best in the league with Jordan Mason now, I don't know, man. The Vikings are going to the Super Bowl. I'm telling you.
Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I understand what Evan's talking about with why Minnesota's so fun to watch and so easy to root for. So Jettas and Aaron Jones were telling the press after the game that when they got into the huddle, when they were down, J.J. McCarthy looked them all in the eye and he said, "Is there any other place you'd rather be?" And that fired the guys up. That's a pretty top dog thing to say right there. He's like, guys, is there any other place? You're like, is there any other situation you wouldn't rather be in? Like, this is what we're made for. This is so exciting. And, like that dog mentality was so cool. And Jettas and Aaron Jones were both so complimentary of it. And they're like, we've never seen a leader like this before. Like, how do you not want to just like run through a brick wall for a player like that? And everything from like the start of the game too, he was just like fired up, like national anthem, like they're just like showing him on the camera, and he's just like has this passionate look in his eyes, like maybe slightly possessed. I don't know, like he was dialed in, like ready to go. So JJ's really easy to root for, and they're also the best coach team in football. Kevin McConnell, orchestrating, like saying, hey, on that kick return, I want you to return it, but like wait, look for my cue because I might not want you to return it. And then obviously he realized that they were, okay, if you return it, it's going to like essentially take away the 2-minute warning. I think that was the whole ordeal. So that was a really cool play on him. And then Brian Flores stacking like 8 in the box, or literally 8 on the line of scrimmage, and you have no idea who's blitzing, and 75% of the time all 8 are coming. Like, it's just so fun to watch, and like all props to Minnesota. Their roster's good, but I think their coaching's even better.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see a first game out of a player like that ever again. We should embrace it wholeheartedly because Zach, I'm so glad you made the Kevin O'Connell shout out because I was going to go in that direction, but you already said it. The guy is just so incredible. Like, it doesn't matter who you put in front of him, he finds ways to win games. And when you're a quarterback with potential, like JJ McCarthy has, and O'Connell says, hey, I'm going to move on from a guy that I almost went undefeated with last year, and I'm going to put the ball in your hands, and you're going to go on the road and go play within the division against the team, that just got this new flashy offensive coordinator, and you haven't played football in over 500 days. The last time you played meaningful football, you're playing in the national championship. When you came out of that game, everybody said to you, hey, you're a good game manager, but we didn't see you be, anything special in college. The guy had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and rightfully so. The first 3 quarters, it looked like he was going to have arguably the worst debut of a quarterback that I've ever seen, at least for one who got to sit there for a whole year and learn and then go into a great position, right? Like, great receivers. Obviously, he's missing his offensive lineman, but he'll be back. But like, in terms of situationally, one of the best defenses in the NFL and a great offense around him, you could not have had a better situation. And 3 quarters in, you're thinking, oh boy, like this is like a catastrophe. And then somehow you finish the night thinking, maybe we have like, the next great quarterback potentially in the NFL, or at least like, a top 10 guy here. Like, I've never seen a script flip like that in my life in one start. And people keep saying it, and it's so true. Usually guys take multiple years as like prospects to go through those rough patches and then get to the point where you have quarters like he did. It's like he just went through like a full season in one game, where it was like he started off bad, got a little bit better, put the leadership cap on, and then in the 4th quarter played like an MVP caliber player. It was insane. Like, I could talk about it all day. I've never seen psyche like that before. I'm jumping on the bandwagon too of like, to be able to do that in your first start is just, I've never seen it. It's mind boggling. Like, and him being bad early, or like the team being bad early, makes it that much more memorable. Like, if he came out and just like dominated from the jump, we would just say, hey, he's a great player. But for him to like struggle at the beginning and then have one of the best quarters we've seen from a quarterback, period. Like, it wasn't just like best first start, 4th quarter, best like 4th quarter of the year, like one of the best, period. It's insane. So I'm going to shut up, but I'm blown away, like genuinely blown away.
I don't want to torch Caleb Williams, though. I've seen a lot of hate on Caleb Williams. I feel like he actually played pretty darn well. Like, people are forgetting that he started like the first quarter. He was like 10 for 10 at one point. He had already thrown for 100 yards, and he also did a remarkable things on his feet. I'm not saying he played an incredible game, but I'm also saying, hey, there's a lot of talent here, and this is like already a revamped 2.0 version of Caleb Williams compared to last year. He looks a lot more comfortable in the pocket. Not to say he didn't make mistakes, but I think Ben Johnson and him are really working on something, and I think that he's got a limitless ceiling as well, just like JJ McCarthy does.
I just
don't know.
don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it, man. I am even more concerned with Caleb after that game. So yes, he started 10 for 10, but that's because he was just like throwing it to the running back every time. And I feel like Ben Johnson's turned him into a check down artist when he had open receivers, at least according to Troy Aikman. I haven't watched the all 22, but like I think he had open downfield receivers and he's just checking it down, checking it down, checking it down. And yes, with a Ben Johnson offensive coordinator game script, they were able to check it down their way down the field for a touchdown. He did make a lot of great plays with his legs, and you can obviously see the talent when he's out of the pocket with that just insane rollout and just absolute laser to Roma Dunze on the sideline. But he's probably he's one of the least accurate quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. Like this dude, going back to the camp video, it shows up in week 1 where he can't hit those little targets in the net, and you see it on the field in week 1. I mean, he was missing open receivers all night long. I just can't. I don't think I'm ever going to get there with Caleb. I just don't see it, and his attitude is always terrible. The intangibles, where JJ's like 100, he's like a 0. And I don't think he's a good fit with Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson needs that Jared Goff type that's just going to fit the system and do it. I don't think I'm going to get there.
I'll jump in. I'm in between you guys because I think I've been a bigger Caleb believer than both of y'all coming into his career. And I'm like caught somewhere in between. And here's the thing. His ceiling, like the throw you just mentioned, like the Roma Dunze one, is Mahomes-esque. Like the only people I could think of making throws like that are like Mahomes, maybe Lamar, and maybe Josh Allen. And that's it. Like maybe Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Like that's the level of ceiling he has on some of the off-script plays that he makes because it's like there's just guys who can't do that. But the flip side is the easy things he makes too difficult for himself, I think. The reason I don't want to be too critical is obviously he's had a whole year last year, but it wasn't a bad rookie season. It just wasn't a Jaden Daniels rookie season, that's not the bar I want to set for every quarterback because Jaden arguably had the best rookie year ever as a quarterback, right? But it was still, I'd say, above average in my opinion, especially given the chaos with the coaching situation. It's his first game with Ben Johnson, right? So I want to see how he develops throughout the course of the year with Ben. I know there's going to be growing pains. And I'm not saying his intangibles are at the level of JJ, as you alluded to. But at the same time, I think if he's willing to be taught, and that's where the jury's still out on that. We don't know yet. But if he's willing to be taught, I agree with Zach that I think he's only going to get better as the season goes on because then they'll find a better balance of when he can go off script and when he can stay in the pocket and make the throws he's supposed to make. There was a hilarious take that someone made. I can't remember who exactly it was, but I got to give him a shout out. It's almost like the first 10 plays, he was like, all right, I'm going to stick to the script and do what I want to do. And then he had a scramble touchdown on that 10th play, which was an epic scramble touchdown. And somebody made the joke. I don't even know if it was a joke. It might be true of him getting that scramble touchdown might have been the worst thing for him in that game because in his mind, it might have clicked hey, if I go off script and just do what I normally do, good things happen. And then after that, he got off the script almost right. So it's going to be a fine line between I want to do what Ben tells me to do, but I also want to be unleashed at times. So we'll see what they do. But I don't think he had a bad game. I don't think he had a great game. I think he showed signs of a little bit of both. I'm tired of the media acting like this game should be an indictment on Caleb's career of oh, he's not going to, now that he hasn't progressed immediately year 2, he's not going to be good. I can't stand that type of talk. It's too early. It's the same thing that people did with a lot of young quarterbacks. The issue is, the last thing I'll say, the issue is CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels and players like that have set a bar the rookie years that people are all of a sudden acting like if you don't go out there week 1 and look like a vet, that you're not going to ever develop into something great. And that's the take I'll take there. But I think you guys brought up Kevin O'Connell earlier, so it kind of tees up another game that I obviously want to get to. And another thing I'll give Kevin O'Connell credit for is Mr. Daniel Jones went from the New York Giants to the Minnesota Vikings last year. And he actually started on the practice squad, and he was the backup last year. And I think he learned a couple of things from Kevin because he went the whole year as a backup. They gave him a contract offer at the end of the year for around the same amount of money that we offered him. He picked our situation because he felt like he could win the starting job. And he won the starting job. And he goes out there week 1, and I love the nickname Indiana Jones. It's so good. Goes out there week 1, and he does something that has not happened in a century of football. It wasn't Peyton Manning. It wasn't Tom Brady. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers. It was Daniel Jones, who scored on every single drive of the game. Every single one. That has not happened in a century. Like, no, never in my life did I think I would be saying that about Daniel Jones on any team, much less my own team. So I am in this weird situation right now where I'm still trying to process it. I'll let you guys give your takes on that game. I know you guys don't feel very strongly about Miami, so it could also be, I don't know if your feeling was, oh, the Colts are actually really good or better than we thought they'd be, or if your take was, oh, Miami's just terrible and the Colts just happen to play well this one week. And then I'll kind of wrap up with that one once you guys give your takes.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say that, obviously, hats off to Daniel Jones. I love the Indiana Jones nickname. He was so darn accurate. You could see he was playing with just no stress whatsoever. He kind of just knew, hey, I've been through the good, bad, and ugly in the NFL, and I'm just going to let it rip today. But I actually want to pick on the defense for the Indianapolis Colts. They were just shut down the entire time. I mean, Tua was seeing ghosts out there, and Indianapolis got one heck of a defense. The spread this week, I know we'll get into it, is -1.5 for the Colts. Still a little disrespectful to the Colts, in my opinion, after that demolishing 33-7. But Ev, I'll kick it over your way.
Yeah, I think this doesn't really change my view of the Colts. I think by the end of kind of our going to last week, I was like, this is a team that in a weaker division can win the division if Daniel Jones plays well, because it's a really well-rounded roster. So, and he played well. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about them moving forward. I do think this is I know we expected the Dolphins to be bad, but that performance is just an utter embarrassment. Tua, I don't know if there's not many quarterbacks when you look at their contract situation and just overall status that I think I'd least rather have than Tua at this point. And obviously give credit to the Colts. Like you said, the defense was awesome. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Colts. They're fantastic. And I, again, feel like they could be the team out of that division that wins it. But the Dolphins should be absolutely embarrassed by themselves. And I'm even more confident that Mike McDaniel will be fired by week 8. The GM will be gone and it's a full blow up. But you're stuck with Tua, who's an absolute disaster. So pathetic from Miami.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in on the positive aspect of it. The Miami defense is great, which helped our offense. The one thing I want to touch on is, Zach, thank you for bringing up the defense, because this is what I'm saying with the Bengals. Lou got done dirty with the Bengals. The guy they call him a maniac because he consistently disguises blitz packages and when to go in the zone and when to go into man coverage, and does it better than a lot of people. And the thing is, when the Bengals made their Super Bowl run, he was their defensive coordinator, and they did not have elite talent. They had Jesse Bates, who's good, and they obviously have Hendrickson, who's elite talent. But in terms of an overall defensive unit, they were not amazing. Nobody went into that season thinking they'd be great. And that's exactly what he brought to the Colts. But the difference is we actually gave him personnel. And I want to give a huge shout out to Bynum and Ward, who addressed our secondary situation. And that's where the big change was made, because we always had the line with the depth. We always had the linebackers, and we always had some level of Kenny Moore and guys like that in the middle. But adding that depth changed everything. But putting all that aside for a second, this is what I've been trying to hammer home to people about Shane Steichen, right? The last couple of years, and admittedly, some of that is his fault because he chose to pick Anthony Richardson along with Chris Ballard and them, and it didn't work out, at least in their eyes, and at least up till now it has not. And they took Daniel Jones. But he won 9 games with Gardner Minshew. Last year, when everyone thought we were the worst team in football, we still won 8 games, and now he's got Daniel Jones. And I don't want to convince myself into believing that we're going to be this force to be reckoned with, because I don't want to be super biased. But the one thing I will say about Daniel Jones is I was unsure, and I'm still not 100% confident that he's going to turn into a top 10 quarterback. But just 2 years ago, before he got that contract that he got paid, he made the playoffs and he won a playoff game. And I think we all forget about that. And when he won that, we weren't talking about him being a top 5 quarterback, but he was able to play to his strengths. And the thing is, the Giants have never given him a good supporting cast, right? I'm not saying that he wasn't the problem, but this is the best team he's ever been on. So maybe I need to give him the grace to prove that if he's given a great system where it's simple, the RPO is there, he can run a little bit, and he's got Jonathan Taylor and the weapons around him, that he might be successful. And I'll leave it at that. And I hope he is, because it was beautiful to watch us just be efficient. And that's what we did the whole game. And this weekend will be a test of that. But let's keep going.
I'm a former Daniel Jones truther,
You
time ago, but the Giants really, I had to back off that when it wasn't looking too good. But hey, maybe I'll revive my appreciation for Daniel Jones. But pivoting, because Zach, you mentioned a really interesting game that's going to happen this week. But I'm going to just quickly talk about the Broncos. The most disappointing player performance from the weekend was Bo Nix. Bo Nix was horrendous, and this is so concerning for this team. Obviously, sophomore slump, all that vibes. It is screaming sophomore slump, and that last year was a fluke, which is a real bummer because I liked Bo Nix and I was really excited. Obviously, as you guys know about the Broncos coming in this year, I was startled, absolutely startled with how bad he played. Like, he should have thrown like 5 interceptions. And again, he's not, he's playing the Titans here. I mean, I know their defense could be decent this year. I get it, but Bo Nix, oh my goodness, that was a huge red flag about the Broncos moving forward this year. And if he doesn't play way better, I'm not even talking about a little bit better, he needs to play infinitely better than he did in that game, because it was honestly an embarrassment. His PFF, I know PFF, not gospel. He got a 40 on PFF, which is one of the lowest scores for a legitimate starting quarterback in this league I've ever seen. I was dumbfounded by how bad he played on Sunday. So,
yeah, Zach, I'll let you go quickly after me, but I'm just gonna say exactly what Evan alluded to. This is what I was saying last week coming into when we were doing our season pick'ems. I felt like the Broncos, and I get it, it's a personnel thing. Their defense is amazing and they have great coaching. But I was like, people are coming into the season acting like the Broncos all of a sudden are about to reach that tier of the Bills and the Ravens and the Chiefs, which is, I can see where the hype was coming from. But the one thing I couldn't get past was, I know Bo Nix had a very good rookie year, but he didn't feel elite to me coming into the year. He still had maybe he could get there, but he still had a ways to go. And I think this first game was a perfect example of that. In order for them to succeed, things need to fall into place offensively for him. He doesn't yet feel like the guy who can put a team on his back. And the thing that's craziest to me is, you're playing the Tennessee Titans. You don't need to put the team on your back. You just need to make the easy throws and let your defense do what they did. That game was way too close for comfort against a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward, who, by the way, looked pretty decent in the first half until the Broncos decided, hey, I don't know what they were doing, but they realized, hey, our defense is better than their offense. Let's just blitz every time, which they should have done from the jump. And it completely decimated the game. And Bo Nix should be thanking his lucky stars that they won that game because of that. Because you're 100% right, Evan. Out of all the players this weekend, that was the guy I was coming into today being what was he doing? And I hope he plays that way this weekend as well. I'll put it that way.
I'll beat you to the punch there. I'll actually I'll talk about another guy that I think actually was maybe fit for the second person of being most disappointing, and that was Russell Wilson for the New York Giants, which, I'll be the first one to mention, all right, hey, I know what I've said on the podcast. I'll stand true to it. Whether they, I hope at this point, for anything to come true, Jackson Dart's going to have to start by week 4 in order for my stars to align with my high forecast on the New York Giants. But here's what I will say is that the Giants were very, very bad. And the Giants typically start the season very, very slow, and they cannot do this or else their season is over. Brian Daboll if this continues, he could be fired faster than Mike McDaniel. I'm not even kidding. They've given him way too many chances. This is New York. This is the Big Apple. They're not going to take many risks. This is a very high priority job. And that way they came out super flat against Washington, who's not even known for having this extraordinary defense. Now, Washington looked incredibly consistent the entire game. Washington is a top 10 team by far. They're top 7, top 8, and they are so consistent. Jaden Daniels was smiling as he was running past a defender. You got to love when a quarterback just genuinely loves the game the way Jaden does. He's such an awesome personality, and look at the supporting cast around him. There's new running backs that just flourished in that week 1. But also, is Washington's defense really good? Or is it just that the Giants came out super flat? You see Malik Neighbors getting upset and arguing on the sideline, rightly so. He's trying to get the ball. He's trying to make moves and plays. And Brian Daboll was a huge disappointment. So I'm not out on the Giants yet. I still think they could be a really good football team. They play great defensively, and their pass rush is insanely awesome. But definitely signaling the warning bells. And I just wanted to bring that up because, obviously I was the one that picked on the Giants going pretty far. But what were your thoughts on the game?
I'll just say this quickly. I'm going to let Evan talk about his Commanders, so I'll just go quickly. I'm not out on them, and it's because my confidence in the Giants was fully on Jackson Dart being the quarterback, right? So for as long as Wilson was playing, I was never going to really pick them to win a lot of games because, and this is no disrespect to Russell, but this isn't prime Russell Wilson. This is Russell Wilson towards the end of his career who is just there to be a veteran presence until Jackson Dart gets to start and finally take over. What I do think they should be doing is putting Dart in sooner rather than later because the idea was, we're going to give him, a month or however many games, I'm assuming, before we put him in. But he was so good in camp. And my thing is, if you're going to put him in a month, there's no difference. Just put him in now. It's one thing if he wasn't good coming into the year, and then maybe he needs more time. But I think you just put him out there. And win or lose, at least he's getting the reps. It's what the Patriots did with Drake May last year. I kind of think he needs to start. That's the way I look at it. The one thing I will say about Brian Daboll is I still do believe in him. I think he deserves the opportunity to go with his own quarterback in Jackson Dart. It's going to be a terrible look for him, though, if the Giants have a bad year this year and then the Colts make the playoffs with Daniel Jones. That is going to look terrible for him. So he better go out there and compete with Jackson Dart. That's the way I look at it. Evan, you talk about your Commanders, though.
Yeah, quickly on the Giants. I know the script. I figured it out. It's Jackson Dart will start the second that Andrew Thomas is back to left tackle, which leads me into the Commanders piece of this. But I think, and I kind of read that Daboll wanted to put Dart in on Sunday, and I think he went to ownership and wanted to start him this weekend. But that tells me that Andrew Thomas isn't going to be back this week either. So I think the second Andrew Thomas is playing, Jackson Dart will be the starting quarterback. I'm pretty sure that, but that just would have been a really tough situation to put him in. And yeah, Commanders, a little sloppy. Like I thought there were a lot of penalties, disappointing, couple drop passes. I thought Jaden was just okay. Like it wasn't his best game. He was great with his legs, but his passing, he's a little inaccuracies, but otherwise, like this was the Adam Peters cook game for me because I got to shout out, size boys here, like Deebo Samuel, incredible. He's like, he fits so perfectly on this team because he looks a little wash, but he's still uber productive and still an absolute stud. So it's like Bobby Wagner, who's like, he's a little washed, but he's still really good. Austin Eckler, a little washed, but he's still pretty good. Like Zach Ertz, a little washed, but still pretty good. So Deebo was awesome. And Javon Kinlaw was an absolute menace. Which I think I talked about before, that just in the right scheme, they're moving him all around the line, both inside to stop the run as a nose, but also on, more of an edge. Like he was fantastic, and all the other signings were awesome as well. Bill Krosky-Merritt, 7th round pick, absolute stud. Trey Amos, corner, was locking up Malik Neighbors. Connerly was good on the offensive line against an elite pass rush. So, and there were a couple other smaller moves on the defensive side that Adam Peters made that, like all of the highest PFF scores for the Commanders from this game were guys new to the team this year. So, just Adam Peters cooked so far. Obviously, Giants, they can't block right now without Andrew Thomas. So I'm still skeptical on the defensive line, but Payne had his best game in years as well. So that's the key. And obviously the secondary is completely revamped from where it was last year. So I think the defense could end up being solid, and we know what the offense is going to bring. So yeah, good start, a little sloppy, but no complaints.
I'm happy to hear you say this, Evan, because I think I might have been more right about the Commanders players that I threw out there than anyone else. And a lot of that was biased because Javon Kinlaw is the big one. Because I even said when he was on the 49ers, was with the system and everything, like he's better than people thought. He has the potential to be a menace at the defensive tackle position for y'all. And that's what I said going into the year this year. And I think like that showed. But this is what I kept saying about Deebo. Like everyone was like, "Oh, he's washed." Like, yeah, sure, he's not maybe as good as he was when he had a 2,000-yard season, but the guy is still uber productive when you put him in the right spots. And shout out to Cliff Kingsbury. He's using him the way Kyle Shanahan used them, and that ability to run with it and catch it. Like Terry McLaurin didn't even have a good game. Deebo just was like, "Give me the ball and get out of my and I will run people over and go get your touchdowns." That's what he did. So shout out to him. And yes, Bill Krosky-Merritt, baby. Let's go. I'm glad I invested in his fantasy stock. Go ahead, Zach.
Dude, no, I think you guys wrapped it up super well. Just kind of going around the horn here. two quarterbacks that I thought had very subpar but also like expected performances were Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had a very Trevor Lawrence game against a pretty bad defense. So we're not really seeing the this new and improved Trevor Lawrence, at least in game one with Liam Cohen. And Bryce, I'm just done. I'm done with Bryce Young. I'm done with the whole Bryce Young fandom. He's sitting there during a TV timeout looking at which turtle had the stupid football as they're doing the three things. I'm like, this guy's out of his mind. And then he threw a freaking interception. Like, dude, this guy is cooked. He's done. He looks like he's a kid playing a grown man's sport. I mean, at this point, like, you got to give up on the Bryce chain. I'm sorry.
I actually think Bryce is going to be fine this year. Like, and it's not even because
No way.
I made the take that he's going to be Hall of Famer. Like, not the preseason's everything, but bro, some of the throws he was making with the confidence he had, he didn't have at week one, the confidence, but I do think that he can still be solid. Like, the team just isn't great yet, but I think he can be solid. I'll lean from the not so good to the very good, and I want to talk about the Packers with Jordan Love. And then I want to talk about the Justin Herbert Chargers and that matchup. And obviously, we'll also get to Josh Allen and Lamar because that was insane. And amongst the other quarterbacks that were out there, because we had some great performances. Like Sam Darnold wasn't great, but the Seahawks were kind of good. But Geno Smith was great. Like we have a lot of guys out there. We can talk about Brock Purdy. But let me get to, real quick, the Packers. I mean, Jordan Love looked great, and of course, Aaron Rodgers shockingly looked good with the Steelers. So there was a funny little weekend with some of the parody. But what I reserve the right, and this is a total me like changing my pick, and I'm doing it. I don't care. After adding Micah, I wish we could have redone that division. And to be clear, I don't know that I was definitely going to pick them to win the division, but I definitely was going to move into at least the 2 spot after they added Micah. And I'm wrong. I should have picked them to win the division because now I firmly believe that they're the class of the NFC. Like, I think they're right there with the Eagles. Like, and I know it's only one game, and maybe I'm overreacting, but Micah didn't even play half the snaps, and the impact that he had in like 45% of the snaps is why you give up the amount of stuff you gave up for him. But pair that with all the young guys they have on defense, and they straight dominated the Detroit Lions. Like, I understand the Lions lost their coordinators and they started slow. It wasn't even close. Like, every time you watch them on offense, Jared Goff looked like he was a rookie again. Like, it was insane. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs did nothing. There's a stat that Jahmyr Gibbs had 10 receptions for the lowest amount of yards ever for 10 receptions. It's insane how good the defense was. And putting all that aside, Jordan Love went out there and had a good game. Golden wasn't even that good, but he was like distributing it. Romeo Dubes, Devontae Wicks. It's funny, their offensive system, they don't seem to have any elite guys, but they have a lot of guys who can be productive. And as long as Jordan Love doesn't turn the ball over, Josh Jacobs runs the ball the way he's capable of, that Packers team is menacing, bro. So hopefully my dynasty take from a year ago will start to come to fruition this year so I can defend that. But I'll let you guys do your thing.
Yeah, that Micah Parsons sack was very symbolic of the excitement that every Packers fan is feeling at the end of the game when he chased down Jared Goff on the right-hand side of the field. And it was right on the Packers sideline, and the way the camera angle had him, like all of the Packers were jumping up in the air and Lambeau was going crazy. That was a powerful moment when Micah Parsons got that first big sack. So I completely agree with you. I think the Packers are the top dog in the NFC North, which is one of the hardest divisions in football. And in terms of Aaron Rodgers, maybe we can talk about the Jets Pittsburgh game, but that rivalry between Jalen Ramsey and Garrett Wilson was crazy too. So Ev, I'll kick it over your way. Comment on whatever you want regarding those teams.
Yeah, I don't have much to add on the Lions Packers other than I think it's going to be interesting what happens next, obviously, especially with the Lions from an offense standpoint. Was that just a fluke bad game, or is this Ben Johnson thing going to be an absolute problem? So the Jets Steelers, the game that was lock of the century to go under the total and be under like 40 points, right? And of course they have a shootout. Aaron, Aaron looks great. I mean, you get him out of a bad situation with the Jets. Maybe he's able to find it even without a good receiver group. But my boy Justin Fields, I got to shout him out. That's my guy. He balled out. I think he's going to have a really good season with the Jets. Breece Hall, I was really strong on this whole Breece Hall. He's going to get traded. It's going to be an ugly situation. He looked great. And you got to shout out Garrett Wilson too. Everyone's like, how's Justin Fields going to get him the ball? Well, he's going to get him the ball because Garrett Wilson is such a stud, and he's going to find his way open. And any quarterback in the NFL, other than maybe Caleb Williams, would be able to hit him. So I think the Jets losing that is really disappointing because I feel like they've had a good defense for years, but they never had any offense. And now like the defense is kind of taking a step back maybe without Mosley. So that's a bummer. But yeah, I mean, if the Steelers are going to get this kind of offense, then, that's another team that can be a sneaky Super Bowl contender. Like, if you get this level of Aaron Rodgers, like, imagine what this team could be.
Yeah, I don't think, the Jets losing that game is so frustrating for them because they played awesome. Like, you put up over 40 points against a Mike Tomlin Steelers defense. And who would have thought the Steelers would win that game by having Aaron Rodgers throw for 4 touchdowns and put up over 40 points? I think the Jets had multiple situations in which they probably should have won that game, but it's okay they didn't because I agree with you about Justin Fields looking the best he's looked in his entire NFL career. Here's a crazy note for you both of you guys, though, and I didn't even realize this. Did you know the Jets offensive coordinator, and I don't know his name super well yet because I'm still getting used to the new coordinators on these teams. Did you know that Dan Campbell had a choice between the Jets offensive coordinator and the guy he picked for Detroit? Because obviously it's Aaron Glenn that ended up taking the OC, so Campbell could have taken him. This is going to be a really bad look for Dan Campbell if Justin Fields and the Jets have a great year with this OC and the guy he picked isn't able to run the offense with all the weapons that they have. That is going to be a really interesting storyline to watch. So I just say watch out for that. But Ev, I'm glad you gave the shout outs you did. Those Justin Fields deserves a ton of credit. I don't think I gave him enough, but he looked great, yo.
Yeah, did they get like the tight end coach or? Because I remember with the whole Ben Johnson stuff from a year ago with the Commanders, and they were talking about who was going to replace him, and like they were like, oh, they have this like tight end coach or something that just, or maybe it was even the offensive line coach, and it was like that just like builds their whole run game. And then I think he actually went with Aaron Glenn, which shocked me. I don't know if that's correct,
what happened.
But
and then Ben Johnson apparently got a tight ends coach from a different team as his OC, but then Ben obviously calls the play, so it's a bit different. But I think, if I understand correctly, Dan Campbell stuck with someone that was, I think it was an outside hire. I have to read into it more. Honestly, I haven't done a ton of research.
Oh, no. This is Tanner Engstrand. So I think the Lions might have kept the guy I'm talking about, and then he was the pass game coordinator for the Lions. So I might be mistaken, but
it'll be interesting to look at that carousel. But I'm glad you gave that shout out. Zach, who do you want to talk about? I feel like we still got a couple of the big guys to address. So
I want to talk about Jalen Ramsey and how he's going to be really fun to watch this year. Dude, he's a menace. Like, he's coming back with I feel like people forgot about him in Miami. Miami's kind of a forgettable team, especially this year. But Jalen under the oh my gosh, he's one of my favorite coaches. Why is his name escaping me right now? Pittsburgh.
Mike Tomlin?
Yeah, Tomlin. Jalen Ramsey under Tomlin, playing with guys like Patrick Queen. That's a fearsome defense. Now, they obviously gave up 32 points, but Fields, I think that's a product of Fields being a lot better than we anticipated him to be. But that hit at the end on Garrett Wilson was pretty legit. And I also love the fact that Jalen, like literally Garrett Wilson brought another player to go block him right before halftime. And Jalen just starts like going in on them, talking smack. Like he makes football so much fun. And he's a scary corner. He's playing that rover position in Pittsburgh. So he's not necessarily the outside twin corner the entire time. He kind of plays more inland, like almost like a hybrid linebacker, like nickel corner. So it's going to be really fun to watch him. So he's like a special shout out I wanted to mention. Yeah.
That was a hilarious way for that game to end on a big hit from Ramsey on Garrett. That was awesome. But
poor Garrett Wilson. He just got set up for that too, and then he's got to live with that. But Jalen, I never thought he'd be playing with such a chip on his shoulder as a Super Bowl champion and everything else, but he's got something to prove. Speaking of something to prove, Justin Herbert, boys. You guys know I've always been on the Herbert bandwagon, and in that first game, oh my God, I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if he plays like that this year, that Chargers team is scary. And also, my boy Mahomes, to the team I never picked to lost game 1 of the year. And we lost Xavier Worthy the first play of the game, and they're out Rashi Rice for the first 6 weeks of the game. This is not a cakewalk for them. The hardest part of their schedule is the first 8 games. So this is a really interesting scenario. We'll probably talk about the Chiefs Eagles in a little bit, so maybe we can save some of the Chiefs analysis for that because we also probably should talk Eagles at that point. But what do you guys think of the Chargers this making a statement in Brazil this weekend?
They look really good, man. They looked really, really good. I think they're probably going to be close to that Chiefs level this year, if not even maybe win that division. We'll see. It's early to say after one game that was played in another country. Who knows? But yeah, if they unleash Herbert a little more, also with his legs, he made a lot more plays with his legs in this game. But we know what kind of talent he has. The problem with him is the consistency in the clutch moments is always a problem. So they kind of got a big lead and held on to it, but. I thought the defense played well for the most part, and Hampton looked okay. So we'll see where the run game goes. They kind of relied on the pass, unlike usual, but yeah, they looked really darn good.
I would say I was really into the Herbert scampers, especially at the end of the game where he iced the clock. I sent Seams Media a little group text to be getting my own sprinting done on Breezy Hill Park, and I only hit 18 miles per hour, which actually it's not bad. It's not bad on my smartwatch. But when I found out that Herbert on just a scamper to end the game was running at 19 miles per hour, I realized how slow I was. Literally, I'm not carrying a football as I'm sprinting. I'm just, exerting every ounce of energy possible just to see 18.0 miles per hour on the clock when he's scampering out of the pocket and casually running 19.3 miles per hour. But I rest my case. What I am worried about is the waiver wire selection I just had, which was Quentin Johnson. 2 touchdowns, hard not to pass up, but he cannot start dropping footballs now.
They have this is the most well-rounded team they have around Justin Herbert, especially with some of these guys improving, because Quentin Johnson obviously did not have the greatest the first couple of years, but he showed a little bit last year. But then you put Keenan Allen back on the roster, who in his mid-30s balled out week 1. You have Lad McConkey, who had a great rookie year. And now I could see why Q's getting more of those deep balls because the defense has to respect that, pairing that with a John Harbaugh, Greg Roman run game with Omarion Hampton, and now Najee's back, who probably will get more carries. It's a pretty insane roster because their offensive line is good. What I will never understand is how did Jim Harbaugh go so long without an NFL head coaching opportunity again? The guy is so good, bro. He runs almost like an old school system, but everywhere he goes, he just wins. It's impressive, but
it's easier to cheat in college, I guess. That must be it.
I mean, hey, either he's cheating again or he's just really good at what he does either way. But guys, speaking of the AFC, the most insane matchup. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it live, but I had to go back and do all the recap and check it all out. But 15-point game with 4 minutes to go, and Josh Allen comes back and wins it. I almost feel bad. I understand that they could have done more to close it out, but Lamar Jackson scored, and Derrick Henry and the Ravens offense scored over 40 points and then lose the game after being up 15 points. That is backbreaking, especially after they went into the playoffs and had that end result against the Bills last year where they, almost completed a touchdown. And it was, some people say it was an underthrow. Some people say Mark Andrews should have caught it. Whatever you want to say, they came in and they acted like they were getting their revenge all the way until 4 minutes was left. And then we left with Josh Allen, the MVP, winning the game. It's wild to see. Evan, you alluded to it earlier with the matchup. What do you guys think of that? I don't think I feel very strongly one way or the other. Just 2 teams being great, but I'm curious about y'all's take.
Yeah, just the Ravens will always find a way to choke. Of all things, Derrick Henry fumbling football, the Ravens just always blow games. I agree with you. I think it was just more. I don't really have an opinion on these teams one way or the other. I sent a text kind of in that after probably the DeAndre Hopkins touchdown that I was if every NFL person doesn't have the Ravens at the top of their power rankings after this game, then I think they're crazy just because that's how good they looked. And then 10 minutes later, they blow the game, and Josh Allen has done Josh Allen things. One of my takes, I guess Ravens, Derrick Henry, everyone's like, oh, when's he going to fall off the cliff? He looked better than ever in that game. He was unbelievable. The offense, I mean, it's just ridiculous. But one of my takes this year, I know I've said this before, it didn't come to fruition because he's still lost in the playoffs every single time. But how much of a gap is Josh Allen going to have to put between what he does on the field, between him and Patrick Mahomes, for us to say that he is the best quarterback in the NFL? I totally get the NFL is about winning, and Patrick Mahomes beats him every time. So that's why I'm not saying I have Josh Allen above him now, because he continues to not be able to beat him. But like when we talk about Jalen Hurts, who all he does is win, we always are discounting what he does because he doesn't do enough for his team. When is the gap between what Josh Allen does on the field for his team and what Patrick Mahomes does, more so last year, we'll see what it's like this year, when does that gap become so big that we just cannot deny anymore that Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the NFL, and Lamar to a degree as well? Because like what Josh Allen is doing and putting the team on his back, it is unbelievable. And that gap, I think, is growing bigger and bigger to the point where I don't care what happens in the playoffs. We might just have to admit it. So that's my take. I'm not there yet. I'm just saying I'm teeing it up as we move along this year, because what this guy does on a football field is just incredible.
Zach, go ahead. I'll answer afterwards.
That is a fantastic prompt, Evan. That's a fantastic prompt, and I think we're actually going to get the answer this year because Patrick Mahomes is in that exact same situation right now. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy's out. Hollywood Brown's plagued with drops, but I mean, at least he's got him. He's got Kelsey, but Kelsey's aged. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see because, you know, Patrick Mahomes has voiced frustrations to his own front office. Hey, we need to open up over the top anymore. Like, let's stop running 75% of the game and squeaking out 19-13 victories when I'm your guy. I'm your $500 million player. Like, give me the ball. Let me make decisions. I love when Patrick Mahomes, instead of him running out of bounds, he shoulder checked Asante Samuel Jr. and sent him flying into the sidelines. Like, that's what you need to do when you're down to show the team, like, hey, I'm that dude. And so I think that you're going to be able to see Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen kind of square out this year, tick for tack, stat-wise, because they're both kind of in the same situation. And you could actually argue that Patrick Mahomes is the worst situation of all three of the quarterbacks when you take Lamar into the equation.
I actually think that's where you're making my point for me, Zach. In the sense of why, like, and this is like, I like Josh Allen and I like Lamar Jackson. This isn't like the Manning Brady conversation for me where I couldn't stand Brady for the longest time. Like, I genuinely am not going to be disappointed if those guys win Super Bowls and stuff. I'll be happy for them. My thing is, and this is just my opinion, and Evan might disagree with me, Josh Allen could throw for 100 touchdowns and 10,000 yards this season and go win another MVP. And I still won't say he's better than Mahomes until he beats Mahomes when it counts. And the reason I say that was for the reason Zach just alluded to. Josh is clearly the best player on his team. The difference between him and Jalen Hurts, you alluded to Jalen Hurts, is I got to give Hurts credit where credit's due. He gets better every, as he goes along. And I do think he should be in that fringe top 5 conversation. But at the same time, when you say, oh, why are the Eagles, arguably the best team in the NFL? The answer we think of isn't Jalen Hurts, right? Like, if I ask you that question, you're going to think Saquon Barkley. You're going to think the defense. You're going to think the receivers. And then you're going to think Jalen Hurts. When I ask you the question, why are the Bills the best, one of the best teams in the AFC, the answer is Josh Allen, which is why he deserves to be in that conversation with Mahomes. The difference for me, though, is Zach just alluded to this, and I'm actually really glad you brought this up. Last year, the same situation Mahomes is in right now, last year, week 1, he loses Rashee Rice, he loses Hollywood Brown, Kelsey doesn't have a good year, and he has Xavier Worthy as his rookie guy to try to go win with. And sure, he doesn't put up great numbers, but what does he do? He goes on to win 15 out of his first 16 games, whether you want to call it on reffing or whatever, winning 15 out of 16 games and then getting to sit the last game and go into the playoffs with that record. And then what does he do? He outplays Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and all those guys in the playoffs like he has for years, even though, in my opinion, at least offensively, he had a worse situation than those guys because he also lost Isaiah Pacheco, who never looked the same after that. And he made it to the Super Bowl, and he might have gotten trounced, but it matters whether you win in the playoffs or not. It 100% matters. And I think Josh Allen needs to win a playoff game against Patrick Mahomes for me to give it to him, at least in that year. And to be clear, I'm not going to consider him better than Mahomes all time until he wins multiple Super Bowls, because that's the bar we've set for all of life. Otherwise, we would all consider Peyton Manning probably and Aaron Rodgers on the same tier or better than Tom Brady, but everyone considers Tom Brady the GOAT, right? It's not because Tom Brady's talent was that much better than those guys, it's because he won. And that's really what it comes down to. Because Allen and Lamar Jackson, talent-wise, are on the same level, if not even better than Mahomes, and to a certain extent in terms of arm talent. But the way Mahomes makes plays when they can count is what differentiates him, and that's where I gotta go with him. And I hate to say it because this weekend was your perfect example of Josh's like ceiling. It's insane. Like the zip he has on that ball is you can't beat. But I can't take it away from Mahomes until Josh beats him in the playoffs. You have to do it. Like that's what matters, you know.
I guess we have to wrap up this portion of it at least. So again, if you're watching this whole time, thank you as always for the support. We're going to switch over and do our game picks. So if you want the weekly pick'ems, check out the other video that should be up within probably 24 hours of this one. So thanks as always. That was Mondays Down South.
Bro, that was amazing.